everybody. Today I really wanted to talk very briefly about the impact of where you are in a storm on the wind speed and storm surge. Now remember, in the northern hemisphere, a storm is circulating counterclockwise. And that is why this right front quadrant, or the northeast quadrant, but technically speaking called the right front quadrant, is associated with the maximum wind speeds and storm surge and tornadic activity in a landfalling hurricane. So you can imagine that this storm here is moving across the Gulf of Mexico, say towards Louisiana. The right north quadrant is where the highest winds are going to come ashore. Once those winds are onshore, remember, they will reduce in intensity because of friction from land. So that is why the left front quadrant has generally lower wind speeds and lower storm surge than this right front quadrant. Okay, so when forecasters look at a hurricane that's making landfall, they are very concerned about where this right front quadrant makes landfall. And that is why minor changes in the path of a storm, so we saw that with Hurricane Sally, for example, minor changes in the exact landfall can make massive differences in storm surge and wind speeds. So another example is Hurricane Katrina, where the New Orleans area was inundated by a lot of rain, but the highest wind speeds and the strongest storm surge were in this northeast quadrant, this right front quadrant, which happened to be in coastal Mississippi, Gulfport, and Biloxi. Okay, the other place, of course, is this eye wall, and the eye wall is in the near the eye of the storm, and this is where you find also some of the highest wind speeds, and then the strongest storm surge. But generally speaking, it's the right front quadrant that is the most damaging part of a storm when that storm makes landfall, because these winds are wrapping around and they're hitting the storm first, whereas the winds that are in the other quadrant, the left front quadrant, are moving offshore. Okay, so they've been impacted by friction and they are generally weaker. In a very long-winded way, therefore, this is how the northeast quadrant is the most damaging part of the storm.